Skylanders has had a long business relationship with the Frito-Lay brand, where simply put, they just slapped the Skylanders logo on bags of Frito-Lay chips, where you can get involved with giveaways for figures, like the Sidekicks, exclusive Chase variant, or readily available characters. But on February 25th of 2014, Frito-Lay and Activision would announce the Skylanders name contest, where they gave fans the opportunity to name free characters, for a chance for it to be what they're officially called.
Son, this is gonna be a mistake, but how do I join?
I'm so glad you asked, my good, tiny, big animal best friend.
You better back the fuck up.
Okay, sir.
The contest was split up into 2 different rounds, with the first one taking place from the announcement up until March 21st of 2014. This would be the names portion, where, you guessed it, you gave a name and a backstory to this dragonfly, a vampire bat lady, and a dolphin with a shield.
Don't be stupid, that's clearly a pirate whale.
But eventually the end date came, and now Activision Frito-Lay had to pick the winning names.
My point is, we just can't do it anymore.
Oh no, whatever will I do?
Bird, dude, it's fine, okay? Look, have a bad cast.
At least I'm getting something out of this.
A few months later, on May 20th of 2014, the names were chosen. I think you know who lost? Celicia called the dragonfly High Five. Nolan said that whatever this thing is Flipwreck, and added that he's unlike any Skylander the world has ever seen. He's definitely not wrong about that. And Kimberly gave the vampire girl the name Batspin.
Who would name a character after what animal they are? Hey, Berta, stop eating the bag!
Starting May 20th through June 13th of 2014, the other half of the contest would take place, where fans can vote for which one of the free characters should appear in the next game. Fans voted, and on September 22nd of 2014, it was announced that the winner of the contest was High Five, with Celicia not only having the fan-created name now being the official name for the dragonfly, but also receiving $100,000 in scholarship money. Alongside this, Activision announced that after the massive response of the contest, that all free characters will be included in Skylander's Trap Team, with their fan-given names. I already have a character that can fly.
Burdup? Burdup, where are you going? Dude, you know we're not done yet, right?
I'm guessing the characters already have names.
Dude, you are my best friend!
For many different ways, like code names during development, seeing the titles of the characters' image URLs, and files in both Trap Team and Superchargers, the characters had completely different names, with Flipwreck being named Seesaw, High Five was named Berserker, and Batspin having 2 different names, as the image URL named their Frightengale, and the files in Superchargers named their Frightbite.
Oh, don't you think this sounds a bit too convenient?
Dude, what are you trying to say?
Look, just hear me out. What if Activision went up to Toys Forgot and said,
We have to come up with names for these characters.
Okay. Here you go.
and well, they sucked, so they had this whole contest thing.
That makes sense to me.
Wait, there's more. What if High Five was meant to be the only one included, but once the contest ended, they still needed a new character for both Undead and Water, so they said,
Fuck it, just add these 2.
But the contest said that only one—
I don't care what the contest says.
Can I just go on my lunch break?
You can do that later.
there, that's my theory.
That Activision was being Activision?
I'm so glad you agree.
Despite these characters being a part of a big event, they were released a lot later in Trap Team's lifespan, with High Five technically being the first release, as around the time the game came out, Frito-Lay bags with giveaways of him were available. Pretty much, if you bought the bag, you had a chance of winning him. But in Wave 3, High Five and Batspin would release normally through single packs and triple packs, but only in Europe, as America had to wait until Wave 4 for both figures to release in single packs. The triple packs were exclusive to Europe for some reason. As for Flipwreck, instead of releasing alongside both his Frito-Lay friends, he'd be one of the last figures released for Trap Team, with him coming out during Wave 5 in a single pack.
Now that I've shown you the entire history of these characters, are they any good in the game? No.
Look, to be fair, the 3 of them are core Skylanders, meaning that no matter what, they're always going to be worse compared to the Trap Masters and the villains, but even on their own, they're pretty shit. High Five is surprisingly, in my opinion, the best one, as he's fairly fast and has Drobot's lasers. Batspin has a lot of bats, and Flipwreck, every attack is like hitting someone with a napkin, and in general, throughout the entire Skylanders community, he's considered one of, if not the worst characters in the entire series.
So you wasted another month of your life.
Yeah, I did, but honestly, Burdup, I'm just kind of proud of you, dude. You actually cared about something Skylanders related.
I told you not to eat that bag.
This isn't over, that's cute.
All 3 of the Frito-Lay Skylanders are relatively more expensive compared to the average core Skylanders, with High Five being the cheapest at around $20, while Batspin and Flipwreck, likely due to their small releases and coming out near the end of Trap Team, both go for around $30. Overall, all 3 of these Skylanders, even if they're not the best, they're a part of one of the most interesting things Skylanders ever did. We can sit here all day and speculate as to why the contest even happened, but it still gave fans the opportunity to feel more involved with the series. The event would be the final collaboration Skylanders would ever do with Frito-Lay, and even though there was almost 20,000 submissions, most people have moved on, making this the Forgotten Skylanders contest.
Now that we're done talking about that, let's talk about Weezer.
I know what Blastertron is.
This is what my life has amounted to, being friends with you.
Before Swap Force became the game that we know today, Vicarious Visions were developing a game titled Skylanders ShapeShifters, and looking at concept of the figures, it seemed like nearly every body part could be swapped between characters, with there being 3 prototype characters, Aftershock, Breezewing, and Krylin, but ultimately ShapeShifters was scrapped and eventually turned into Swap Force, and the 3 characters were reworked into other Skylanders, and also made cameo appearances in Imaginators. Although ShapeShifters seemed like an interesting idea, it was just a bit too ambitious, especially for a kids game, and it's probably for the best that Swap Force came out of it. In the beginning of the series, there was 8 different elements, but approaching the release of Skylanders Trap Team, it was rumored that there would be 2 new elements, and even when the game released, these were being kept as a mystery. But months before, due to carelessness, leaks, and even due to glitches in the game, it was revealed that the new elements were light and dark, and eventually in Wave 3, the Dark expansion pack would be released, which included the Midnight Museum level, the Dark Spider Trap, and the first Dark Skylander, Nightmare. But during Wave 4, Nightmare was released on her own. Not only is she the only trap master in this element, but she's the only character that can open the Dark Gate. And for what it is, she's probably one of the better characters in this element. But also during Wave 4, Blackout will be released, and is the only core character in this element. Out of the 2, he's by far the better character, as his design clearly fits the dark, scary theme of the element, but he also has the black hole glitch. While performing a certain attack while getting into a cutscene causes the game to not let him take any damage. The last Dark-related thing made for this game were the Dark Sword Trap and the Dark Handstand Trap, which can help you trap the villains Ice Cream, Fist of Cups, Taekwon Crow, and Nightshade.
Well, Andres, I hope they made more.
Oh, don't worry, there's more we have to talk about.
I suck at sarcasm.
Nightfall's just bad. Like, I legit can't find one really good thing to say about her. She was released during Wave 2 of Skylanders Superchargers and was the only character released for the Dark element. There was at least 2 Supercharger figures for each element. Even the Light element that only got Astro Blast had a legendary variant. The only thing released that was related to the Dark element was her vehicle, the Sea Shadow. It was released during the first wave of the game and it was probably the coolest looking vehicle. Even the Supercharged version is probably the best out of the entire series. But also available at launch in the Dark Edition starter pack was the Dark Sea Shadow. Yeah, Viz got a variant and yet Boomjet didn't. Both vehicles are pretty much the same, but for some reason the Dark variant isn't being supercharged. Maybe I'm dumb, the game is dumb, but we can all agree, Imaginators sucks.
You're gonna talk about the game you hate so much that you bought it 6 times?
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's time for your medication.
This is where the shit really starts hitting the fan. With the release of the final game in the series brought along new characters and gimmicks, with the main one being the Imagination Crystals with the Dark element getting 3 unique designs. The first one being released in the Dark Edition starter pack with the Dark Ruin Creation Crystal being included. However, this design was never released outside of this pack. Dark Pyramid would also be released during Wave 1, but only in an 8-pack that was only released in Japan, which is now fairly rare. But eventually was released outside of the pack during Wave 3 in a triple pack with the Magic Lantern and the Undead I really wish I can read. Then during Wave 4 it would be released in a single pack alongside the last creation crystal, the Dark Reactor. As for what they do in the game, well, not much. Every crystal pretty much does the same thing where you can make your own Skylander, but the only thing that's different is what character you make or what element the crystal is. The other new type of Skylanders and Imagineers were the Senseis. Not only did it make everyone else feel pointless, but they had 2 characters for the Dark element, with the first one being released was Hoodsicle, with his variant Steel-Plated Hoodsicle, being released during Wave 1 with him being a Best Buy exclusive, but during Wave 2 his normal variant was released. Each element had 1 villain from Trap Team, but some villains' elements were changed from the transition, like Graveclobber from Earth to Water and the aforementioned Taekwon Crow from Dark to Fire. And the same thing would happen with Hoodsicle, as he was previously in the Undead and is now in Dark. Although it's a bit odd, Dark being his new element makes the most sense for his character.
Whoa.
As for how he plays, if you like how he works in Trap Team, besides the glitch, then you enjoy playing with him just as much. The same wave that normal Hoodsicle was released, the other Dark Skylander was released, named Starcast. I really wish I can say something good about him. He can throw ninja stars, he can ride a star, and he can turn invisible. I don't know if it's because I just don't really like playing as projectile characters, or maybe because I just don't like Imaginators. I blame Imaginators. Starcast that same wave also had a chase variant, being Clear Starcast. But there is one more variant, and it's probably the most infamous, with that being Happy Birthday Ben Starcast, which was in collaboration with Tom Brady and given to people who attended his son's birthday party, which means that there probably weren't that many figures made of him, making him one of, if not the rarest Skylanders ever made.
Alright, that's it. I'm out of here.
Oh, come on, Bird. You couldn't let me talk about this for 6 minutes and yet you let me talk about an anime for 15?
Whatever, Andres. See you later, loser.
Hello, Bird. I believe I'm your son.
Please just finish your video.
If you include every normal, chase, vehicle, trap, crystal, and variant, there's only 16 figures in the dark element. Both Sea Shadows, Nightfall, and Nightmare are worth around $8 to $20 each. All of the Creation Crystals, Starcast, and both Hoodsicles are worth around $20 to $35 each. Each of the traps, due to their small releases, are worth around $40 to $60 each. Blackout is around $90, Clear Starcast is worth $200, and as for Happy Birthday Ben Starcast, due to how limited and rare of a figure he is, it's difficult to determine a price for him. But if we go off the only sold listing of him, he's priced at around $500, but it's likely that he's worth even more. Overall, although the Dark Element probably had some of the best looking characters in the series, they didn't really do much with them. They clearly added it in Trap Team to gain some sort of interest in the game, but after it served its purpose, they kinda just had to keep it around, and from the start it always seemed like they gave it the absolute bare minimum. Dark had the lowest figures out of all the elements. Maybe that wasn't their intention, and it's possible due to time crunch they couldn't add any more characters. But to me, Dark will be known as the Forgotten Skylanders element.
Get out of my house.
But father, I love you.
Due to how successful not only Swap Force but Skylanders was, a fourth game pretty much had to happen. And on April 23rd of 2014, Skylanders Trap Team would be announced, with the gimmick being the ability to trap and play as new villains, which is still to this day the most popular video on the Skylanders YouTube channel. Trap Team would release later that same year on nearly every console, and for all intents and purposes is a pretty good game. But in sales, something odd would happen, as it wouldn't perform as well, with it selling over 4.6 million copies, which is still a pretty good amount, but it would be the lowest out of the 4 games. And Trap Team would be the last Skylanders game to be considered good. Since Activision loved being Activision, in early 2015, Skylanders Superchargers would be announced and released later that same year, with having the ability to drive vehicles. Even though the game had a pretty good racing mode, brought back a lot of the characters from Swap Force, and had Bowser and Donkey Kong as guest star characters, Superchargers continued to downfall, with it only selling somewhere in the range of 2.8 million copies, a 38% drop, but still did okay enough to justify one more game. And in 2016, Skylanders Imaginators would be announced and released later that same year. But by this point, no one really cared. With how oversaturated the entire Bring Toys to Life genre was, it just seemed like they gave up with Imaginators. Like, how do you go from new series, expected sequel, and a fresh, unique idea, to play as bad guy, drive car, and fuck it, we don't care, do whatever you want? It put me in the hospital. Why aren't you guys saying anything? Imaginators ultimately didn't do well, with it only selling under 2 million copies. Although there were more figures that were meant to be released, in fact there's meant to be another year for Imaginators. After the release of Robo, it marked the end of Skylanders, with any future plans for Imaginators being scrapped in favor of continuing the Netflix series Skylanders Academy, which even then was cancelled after its 3rd season in 2019. After the show concluded, Skylanders was given one more chance with the mobile game Skylanders Rings of Heroes, but seemingly due to a lack of a player base, on February 28th of 2022, the game would be shut down. And as of now, Skylanders is considered a dead series, but the community is still keeping the game alive, with new things being discovered, people making content, and still being mentioned in current media. It's clear that even if the series is never coming back, the community will always find a way to keep these games alive, even if we're never gonna get a Swap Force HD. During the duration of Skylanders Spyro's adventures, the sidekicks were introduced, and unlike every other character, these were only released through buying a free-to-play bag or a GameStop promotion, where you can get the characters Trigger Snappy, Gil Runt, Terabyte, and Whisper Elf. And after the release of Skylanders Giants, more sidekicks were released for the same free-to-play promotion, where now you can get the characters Barkley, Mini Genie, Fumbling, and Ice Small. But how do they work? Well, you can put them on the portal, they do a little animation, they can follow you around, that's it. The sidekicks can also be used in Swap Force where they do the same thing, but Swap Force never had its own set of sidekicks.
I think you should take a break.
Yeah.
So Andres, how's that old girlfriend thing? God fucking damn it.
In 2014, Sky's Trap Team would be announced, with the gimmick of the game being able to play as villains or the Trap Masters. But later that same year at Gamescom, it was announced that the sidekicks would be returning, but would be renamed to the Minis, with all 8 of the previous sidekicks being brought back alongside 8 new characters being introduced. And when the game released, Mini Genie, Ice Small, Trigger Snappy, and Terabyte would be re-releasing alongside the 4 new characters, Fry, Hijinks, Drobits, and Bop. Gil Runt would also be re-releasing that same wave in a double pack with Series 4 Gil Grunt, but during Wave 3, Gil Runt would be released again with Fumbling. Barkley would also technically be released during Wave 1, but only came in the 3DS starter pack. Then during Wave 4 would be released in a pack with Whisper Elf. Similar to how Triox got a variant, during Wave 5, Barkley got his own gnarly variant.
Remember when he did the Fortnite dance?
In between the 2nd and 3rd waves, Smallfire would be released in a double pack with Series 2 Friday, but later on during Wave 3 would be included in a double pack with another new mini, Wii Ruptor, with him even receiving his own Easter variant during Wave 4, and at the same time, the variant to Pedvac being Power Punch Pedvac would also be released. Lastly, in Wave 4, Pedvac would be released in 2 different packs, one with Series 3 Jetvac, and the other one with the final mini, Breeze. So how exactly do all of them work? All the minis are the equivalent of a repos figure, as they play the same as their older counterparts. Although the sidekicks were brought back into 2 different games, the minis started and ended with Trap Team, as this was the last time a smaller version of a Skylander was ever released.
Well, that was a waste of time.
I know, right, Brip? The minis were such a waste of time.
I honestly really hate you.
And what are you gonna do about it?
Take a step back.
Fine, okay, Bird, I'll do it, right? But like, why are you making me do? All 8 of the original Sidekicks figures and most of the minis are fairly common, with all of them being priced at around $5 to $20 each, with the exception of 2, with Gnarly Barkley being priced at around $30 or so, and with Breeze, due to her only being released in 1 pack and being released near the end of Trap Team's lifespan, she's now the most expensive out of all the minis, with her currently being priced at around $130. Overall, the Sidekicks and the minis were rushed out just so they can sell more figures. When they were introduced into the series, they didn't really do anything, and even after they made their playable debut, the minis were overshadowed by other characters that are simply just better than them. Although the minis are admittedly cute figures and are nice little characters to add to your collection, most will say that the minis are the pointless Skylanders. Template is a Skylander that was found in the files of Swap Force and was used as a baseline to create all the other swappers, and even his own attacks don't even do anything. Similar though, another character named Template Legacy was also found, but also doesn't really do anything special. As of now, you can technically play as them if you put their data on NFC cards, with Template working in Swap Force Superchargers and Imaginators, but Template Legacy only working on emulators. On February 29th of 2016, to bring attention for Autism Awareness Month, Activision invited fans to quote, light it up blue with one-of-a-kind toys by having 2 characters and their vehicles given the new Power Blue variant. In the same day that the announcement was published, and also correlating with the release of Wave 4, Power Blue Splat, Power Blue Splatter Splasher, Power Blue Trigger Happy, and Power Blue Gold Rusher were released, and were even given to some content creators like CoinOp TV and Bookie2988. As far as how they actually work in the game, I won't be playing the game this time. Bird's brother will.
I did not agree to any of this. I'm not playing Let's just get this over with. Let's go with this one first. Wow, she's some girl with a paintbrush. This reminds me of a game that released in 2015.
Bro, I was thinking like the same thing. That game is terrible.
Holy shit, how can she go underwater with that boat?
You do know it's just a game, right?
Whatever you say, loser. Wow, now I feel like a proud American. He has a big ass truck, is clearly on cocaine, and has the weapons from Fortnite.
At the end of the day, there are just variants for characters that already existed. But what if there was meant to be one more for Imaginators? The character Ember was meant to get a Power Blue variant with, well, Power Blue Ember. But if you don't remember this existing like the other unreleased variants, it's because it was never officially announced. In fact, the only reason we know about her is because Philip, I need to learn how to read. A person who produced a lot of art for the Skylander series posted a large batch of renders on ArtStation, with one of them being Power Blue Ember, but didn't really go into detail about any specific render. Even then, images for Trigger Happy and Whamshell and Imaginators were in here, which just doesn't really make sense. It's possible that some of the images were made for fun, but what does that mean for Power Blue Ember? Was it a joke? Or something that the Skylanders team considered but eventually scrapped? Honestly, who really knows, as this image is the only thing to show that she ever existed. And other than that, that's really it.
Wait.
What?
Do you even know the people they worked with?
What are you talking about?
Okay, look, here's one of the promotion art. I'm going to move, just don't get scared.
Oh, no. Disclaimer, don't be mean to people. Autism Speaks is a well-known non-profit organization that claims to help people who have autism, but is very controversial for having various different problems. First off, the logo. In 2016, it was an image of a puzzle piece with blue and white colors, which, side note, are the same colors for the Power Blue variant. The earliest design for a puzzle piece as a logo was with the National Autistic Society, where the logo shows a young boy in the middle of a puzzle piece. But the puzzle piece is controversial, as others have stated that it makes people with autism feel like they're incomplete or something's missing. And even then, the creator of the image made it because, at least at the time, autism was seen as a quote puzzling condition. But even then, the colors are also harmful, as both logos are under the belief that autism only affects boys, which is just factually not true. And even then, it's actually a point of conversation that girls are better at hiding their autism than boys. They did eventually update the logo to have more colors, but the problems don't stop there. They claim to try to find a cure for autism when that's just not possible since it's not an illness, but they'll definitely try to convince you of that, as in their now deleted video named I Am Autism, a voice is speaking in a scary tone to represent autism, as it states that, I work faster than paediatric AIDS, cancer, and diabetes combined. Ah yes, comparing one of the worst illnesses that harm the person who gets it, hurt families, and still has no cure, to something that makes you think differently. They did eventually remove it and apologize, then updating the apology because wow. Like, how does this even count as an apology? They said sorry once at the beginning and then cry about people re-uploading the video. And to be fair, using old disavowed content to try to get an own on someone is very unfair, but the thing about Autism Speaks is that if you take a look at their back catalog, it's clear that they haven't really learned much. It is worth noting that according to their website, they quote, no longer advocate, support, or discuss searching for a cure. But when this word is associated with your organization for so long, and even then is buried in a bunch of text, it's difficult to separate the two.
Holy shit, is there any more?
Okay, well, yeah, you see.
Just say yes, you idiot.
Well, yeah. Since Autism Speaks have been around since 2005, they've made lots of videos to bring awareness. But the videos have questionable things, like in the Meet People series. Contrary to what the name implies, you actually don't really get to hear from the person who has autism. Instead, you hear from the family, friends, and it's filmed in a very odd way, where you're observing the person instead of listening to them. And although with some of the videos we are able to hear from people with autism, with some they just missed the mark. Then in the video titled Autism Every Day, as stated by many people in both the comments and content creators, many things are just simply very wrong here. Like when the kids are crying, making noise, or misbehaving, the mothers explain how hard it is to take care of a kid with autism and how you should feel bad for them. Then throughout the video, they show very questionable things. I don't want to go into too much detail or show you what exactly they recorded, but one thing to bear in mind is that the video on its YouTube re-upload is around 13 years old. The film is actually older than that and debuted in 2006, meaning that it's likely that most of the kids featured in the video are adults by now. And I think most would be horrified if they find out what exactly was recorded and uploaded to YouTube and also sent to film festivals. But the main thing I want to tackle here is what this mother said on the topic of sending their kid to school. And in short, she stated that she came close to harming her own child who has autism because she didn't want to send her kid to school. Okay, look, the name of your child and anything implying any sort of harm towards them should not go in the same sentence. It's one thing to have this go through her head, but the fact that she said this with a smile on her face and the kid right behind her is just screaming bad parenting. Look, there's over 400 videos on the Autism Speaks channel, and also tons of other issues that the organization has, like how in 2018 very little money was used to support families. But I personally don't want to speak for other people, and there's tons of creators who made content around Autism Speaks, going more into the bad things that they've done. My point is, Autism Speaks, although on the surface seem like they're trying to help out, they depict it more like some kind of disease. And they seem to treat people with autism like they're broken and they need other people to speak for them. But despite the issues, many companies still support and even work with the organization, like Home Depot and Chuck E. Cheese, and even big entertainment media, like the ABC show The Good Doctor, and yes, even Skylanders. But even after all that, there's still one question that remains.
When will you stop this Skylanders nonsense?
Why have you wasted your time with this shit?
Does anyone know where Andre went?
I like Skylanders, and honestly, I just kind of forgot. But anyways, is Activision at fault here, like, at all? Now, to be clear with everyone, I'm not trying to say Skylanders tried to do anything wrong. Not only were members of the Skylanders team proud to be making figures for Autism Awareness Month, and according to Activision's blog post, they stated that they would be donating money to non-profit autism organizations. But even then, really think about it. Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, Activision, or whoever came up with this idea, had to talk with Autism Speaks to confirm the collaboration, create the variant, pick which characters get the color, recolor the renders, add textures in the game, potentially had to make hundreds of thousands of figures, and even then wrote a blog post and gave the figures to YouTubers. And yet, after all that, no one on the team thought maybe we should look into the people that we're working with? At best, this could be considered careless or irresponsible, and at worst could be malicious. Either way, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm simply here to lay out all the information and let you come up with your own thoughts on the entire story.
Well, I quite frankly don't care. I just think the colors look cool.
What? But uncle brother, they directly worked with an organization that are built on dehumaning people with autism.
Oh, fuck off, you child. You're just a sheep that listens to X.
It's called Twitter and you know that. I'm
Shut
the
up,
child
kid, you
here.
just
I'm
can't
19
accept
years
change.
old and
Why
I
are
act-
you-
Hey Andreas, look, I got the game for you. The Power Blue versions of Splat in her vehicle cost more than her normal counterpart, as her figure's around $20 and the boat costing $15. But the opposite is true for Trigger Happy, as his Power Blue variant is actually cheaper than the original version, with him and his vehicle being priced at around $30 each. Overall, the topic is hard to pick a side on. On one hand, Activision just wanted to show their support, and if anything, I don't think they meant any harm. But at the same time, they really should have looked into who they were working with, as even back then, people criticized them for working with Autism Speaks, which although weren't as loud as compared to the support that they got, they probably just didn't want to cause any more controversy, and scrapped any future plans for the variant. In the years since, people have looked back on the Power Blue Skylanders, and even if they liked the colors, are discussing it that they ever worked with the organization, but I want you to have your own opinion, and I would love to know what you think about the topic, as it's no doubt that this is Skylander's controversial collaboration.
So you're not going to tell us your opinion?
You have to tell us right now.
Emmett, they're complaining again.
Well, it's not my fault they argue too much.
It's all because you never shut up.
No,
are
dude, you always
stupid
make it
and
my
it's
fault for
always
some
your
reason.
fault
I'm
and
just
you
trying to
just
tell you.
They really act like children sometimes.
They really do.
So, Skylanders. I hope you remember what it is. For all 6 of the Skylanders games, there's 74 unique core characters, with most of them having different versions throughout the series. But there's one character specifically who not only was a part of the first 32 Skylanders, but also never received a single repose or chase variant, and that character is Sunburn.
Small YouTubers are trash.
Sunburn was a part of the first 32 Skylanders in the first Skylanders game, with him originally being named Hot Flash. He was only ever released in the Dragon's Peak expansion pack, which was released near the end of Spyro's Adventure's lifespan, with him being released during Wave 4 in March of 2012, but at first was a Toys R Us exclusive. But eventually, during Wave 5, the exclusivity deal was broken and he was released everywhere else. But other than that, that's really it for Sunburn. Yeah, big shocking, considering the fact that he's the Forgotten Skylanders character, there's not a lot of lore around him. Other than him being able to be used in all the other Skylanders games, there's not really much I can say about Sunburn as a character. Thanks to the massive success of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, in October of 2012, Skylanders Giants was released. And with this new game, it brought new characters to the series, including the introduction of the Giants characters, new core characters, and a new type of Skylander named the Light Core characters. On top of that, 24 of the original 32 Skylanders were brought back with their characters being posed differently to their first versions, and these were named the Series 2 Skylanders. But 8 characters weren't given this treatment, and the community would give these 8 characters the name the Forgotten 8. Voodoo, Dino Rang, Whamshell, Boomer, Ghost Roaster, Warnado, Camo, and of course Sunburn were the 8 characters who didn't get a repose in Giants. Although you were able to use all 8 of the original characters in Giants, the fact that most of the characters from the first game were brought back and given new reposes, and then these 8 characters weren't brought back, just confused many people. In 2013, big things happened for Skylanders, like how the best, most awesome, greatest, S tier, just amazing, just a beautiful
Get to the point already.
Skylanders Swap Force was released, and with this it brought more characters who got reposes and light cores, including 3 of the characters from the Forgotten 8, with the first one being released in the first wave, and that being Warnado, who was released as a light core figure. Then later on, the next 2 were released during wave 3, with that being Whamshell, who was released as a light core figure. Then there's Camo, who is the only character from the Forgotten 8 to ever receive a Series 2, with him being named Foreign Horn Camo. He was first released in the Arcanian Crossbow Battle Pack, but then later on in Wave 5, Foreign Horn Camo was released outside of the Battle Pack in a triple pack with Scratch and Frino. By this point we're in April of 2014, and the next Skylanders game in the series, Skylanders Trap Team, was announced and released later that year. This is where a new set of Skylanders were released, who were the Eon's Elite characters, which were pretty much just 8 Skylanders from the first game, but painted to be shiny. Then with the next game in the series, Skylanders Superchargers, the next batch of Eon's Elite figures were released. Voodoo, Dino Rang, Boomer, and Ghost Roaster were brought back and changed slightly, like how Ghost Roaster's tail is red and Boomer is holding actual bombs. At the time, Boomer, Dino Rang, and Ghost Roaster were pretty much found in every store. However, Voodoo alongside Slam Bam and Zook were Toys R Us exclusives. At this point, most of the characters from the Forgotten 8 had gone on a repose, except for one, and that being Sunburn. And after Skylanders Imaginators ended, it also ended the chances of Sunburn ever getting a repose. Although Activision and Toys for Bob have forgotten who Sunburn is, the Skylanders community definitely haven't. Simply just scrolling through the Skylanders subreddit, it clearly shows that people did like Sunburn, whether it's by making memes about how forgotten he is, or by having discussions about how he deserved a repose. As of now, the Sunburn figure is fairly easy to find. Loose you can find them for around $9 or so, but brand new he'll be priced around $60. Sunburn is a character that truly deserved better. He's a character that's been there since the beginning, and aside from a few Skylanders merchandise and seen in other Skylanders related games, the people who made the game clearly forgot that he exists. but the community clearly haven't, as they continue to make posts just talking about him or making jokes about how left out he is. But no matter what, people will remember Sunburn as the Forgotten Skylander.
Skylanders had many different variants, with the most notable being for holidays, like Christmas, Halloween, and Easter. But one holiday they seemed to give very little attention to was Valentine's Day. But that doesn't mean that they didn't try, with the first ever variant being... We are reaching here. Skylanders Lost Islands was one of the first and most notable mobile games for the series, where it was a village farming game. If you played something like Dragon City or Monster Legends, that's Skylanders Lost Islands. Not only would it feature all the Skylanders, but also had exclusive variants for certain characters. And in February 2012, Flameslinger would receive a Valentine's Day variant, being Cupid Flameslinger. For 1500 gems or getting him for the wishing well, he helps you by getting 25% more gold. It was available in February of 2012 and 2013, and he is notable for being the first Valentine's Day variant.
Oh, come on. What about in the actual games?
Be patient, bird, alright? Okay, look, fine, Look, Pop Fizz is one of the most iconic characters in Skylanders. He would be the first and technically the only character to get a physical Valentine's Day variant, with Love Potion Pop Fizz being released during Wave 4 of Trap Team. And if you ever wanted to play as a pink version of Pop Fizz, now you can. I think it's cool. In February 2015, another exclusive variant would come out for Lost Islands, with the character Cobra Kadabra getting a variant named Charming Cobra Kadabra, which does the same as the other Lost Islands variants. But February 2015 would be the only time he would release, and would be the final Valentine's variant for Lost Islands.
Okay, dude, you have to get it right this time.
I'm trying, I swear. In Skylanders Imaginators, the character Buckshot was supposed to get a variant, named Heartbreaker Buckshot, and was even fully announced, with him having a full trailer on the Skylanders YouTube channel, and even a full page on the game's website. But when the day came and went, nothing, he just didn't come out, with both of the prior mentioned promotions getting taken down. And later, a developer at Toys for Bob would state that the character looked too evil for Valentine's Day. And to be fair, they're not wrong. He is pink. But in fall of 2021, two listings for prototypes of him were posted on eBay. One that appeared to be sold for $20,000 but actually sold for $2,000, and the other was for $1,500. But Toys for Bob simply asked for them back, and it seems like the seller complied as both listings were taken down. But the main question is, does he even work in the game? And honestly, I don't even know. This topic is a bit too complicated, especially for a conversation like this, so I'll just leave it at that he can't be played through NFC cards, and I'm guessing the majority of the videos posted with him are likely made with mods.
Fair enough, I guess. Just do better next time.
I will. Hey, can you stop that? Due to Lost Islands no longer being available, both of the variants can't be played or obtained, at least through their original state. Love Potion Pop Fizz is around $10, and Heartbreaker Buckshot, since he wasn't released, at most 12 figures exist and was only sold once. These worth around $2,000, but possibly even more. Overall, Valentine's is a day where you express your love to the things that you care about, and Skylanders at least try to represent that. Assuming that since there's so many characters already made, they just didn't really have time to add variants for this special day, or they just really did not care about this holiday, which honestly is probably the more realistic answer, making Valentine's the Forgotten Skylanders variant.
Race, I really have to go. See you later.
Well, what are we gonna do?
Don't worry, Andres, I have the perfect game. Well, looks like I won once again.
Yeah, because you're the one shuffling the cards.
You're just mad cause you haven't won a round.
As mentioned before, two expansion packs were released, being the Tower of Time and Shipwreck Island, with both being different and not connected with the main story of the game. Starting with the Tower of Time, the squirrel people need Flint and the Skylanders' help, as the clock keeps going backward in time, with our new villain Captain Cluck causing the entire problem. Now that we're actually playing, we have time stopper things, which as the name implies, stop time. To stop Cluck, we have to get into the clock tower, but we have to find 3 gears to open the door. But remember, it's a Skylanders level, so in the first section there's a tech gate and a dig zone, but after making it across, we get our first gear. But Cluck notices you and starts attacking, as we're introduced to the time spell punk. For the last 2 gears, we pretty much just repeat the process of walking into arena, just going into a few zones like the spin, air, and climbing zone, while also meeting the clock gear golem and having a small fight with Cluck. But after getting all the gears, you can finally go into the clock tower. You go up an elevator and beat up a bunch of enemies, and after reaching the top, we get a boss fight with Cluck, while the time spell punks are constantly unpausing the time. But once you beat up Cluck, you see him outside of his suit, and it's revealed that it's Birdup's dad?
Wait, Father, oh my god, it's the news. Wait, where is he going?
He does make an appearance again in Superchargers, but I don't feel like talking about that game.
I can't believe we just met Father's father.
I feel dumber hanging around you guys.
Now in the Shipwreck Island, Flynn is sent to another world, and once we land, we're introduced to the Sheep Mage.
There appears to be an imposter among us.
What? Flynn gets spotted and is turned into a sheep. Please place Skylander in the portal. I mean, you asked nicely, so. After the sheep mage gets turned into a bigger sheep and spits keys at you.
Recently, somebody sent me this shit. Are you and Dumpy best friends?
Oh look, a rocket zone. And an undead zone. And the music pads from chapter 6. What the heck? Our first new enemies, the vortex gear golems. And since I know you want to know, all they do is just slam the ground.
But there'll be no time to waste, or there'll be sheep all over the place.
You don't say, Crabman. There's also a sneak zone, and oh, a fire and undead zone, and a teleport and air zone. But eventually you make it to probably the most disappointing boss fight in all of Swap Force. Pretty much, hurt enemies, then you go through a maze to hurt the choppy mage. Or just do what I do and just pick a character that can shoot really far and just shoot them.
You haven't seen the last of me!
Fun fact, this is the last time you'll ever see him. By the end of it, Flynn gets turned back into his normal self and the crab and him go back to the real world. Fucking yippee. Overall, the expansion packs in Swap Force are a little fun, but other than wanting to 100% the game, these levels just aren't really worth playing. Whether it's due to the levels just feeling like they take forever, or just having an idea that's just not that interesting. Although I'm glad they're here, I can hardly see the value in both packs. Sonic Boom is Sonic Boom. There's honestly not much to say about her. She was released in the first wave of Spyro's Adventure in a single pack, then again in a triple pack with Wrecking Ball and Stealth Up in the second wave. But during Giants, her Series 2 would release during the second wave. With that though, a sparkly, glittery version would release, and a Walmart exclusive glow-in-the-dark variant as well. And that's it. The only notable one that goes for any high money is the glittery, sparkly version going around $100. Every other version's like $6. Are you happy I didn't make the Sonic Boom joke? Whamshow was the final unique character to release for Spyro's Adventure, and even then he got a Crystal Chase variant. But he's well known for being in the Forgotten 8, where it's 8 of the original 32 characters from the first game that didn't get a repose in Giants. But in Swap Force during Wave 3, he did get a repose in the form of a Light Core. Funny enough though, the Light Core version is the cheapest one, being around $8 or so. The original Wham Shell is around $20, and the Crystal Wham Shell, since it's a Chase variant, is around $200. Spyro, although technically not being the first Skylander, he's by far the most well known. In 2011, journalists were given test figures to try out at that year's E3, but once the game released in October of that same year, Spyro was included in the starter pack alongside Gilgren and Trigger Happy. The 3DS starter pack was completely different, with it including Stealth Elva Igniter and a variant of Spyro being Dark Spyro. But also available at launch being a Toys R Us exclusive was a triple pack, including Legendary Chop Chop, Legendary Bash, and Legendary Spyro. But once Giants was announced and featured at E3 of 2012, people would receive a Chrome version of Spyro. During Giants' release, he didn't get as much attention as he did in the first game, with him releasing in a single pack in Wave 4 and a triple pack with Series 2 Bash and Hot Dog during Wave 5. But he did return in Swap Force with him getting a Series 3 figure named Mega Ram Spyro, and also getting a Dark variant, with both releasing during the first wave. Although in Trap Team, instead of getting a normal repose, he got a mini version named Spry, and Spyro would also get an Eon's Elite version. And that's the last Spyro figure. As of now, most Spyro figures are fairly cheap, with Spyro's original figure, both reposes and the mini version being around $5 or so. The Legendary is around $9, both Dark versions are worth around $11 to $12, Eon's Elite Spyro is around $40, the Chrome version is around $300, but, and before you ask, yes, this technically does count, the test figure from E3 2011 technically goes for around $750 if it's complete in the box. I completed Skylanders Imaginators, and I still don't like this game. I made it a goal at the beginning of this year that I would fully complete every single Skylanders game before my birthday on July 8th of 2023. The only thing I couldn't get was one achievement that was in Swap Force, and then for some reason in Superchargers the game just bugged out and did not let me get these other achievements, which I know I did in the game, but you know, it's fine, whatever. But then it came around to do everything in Imaginators. I started playing the game, I got every single achievement in the game, but then it came down to getting everything in the game. But Imaginators, being Imaginators, wanted to be different, so it tried doing something that I just don't like. The gimmick for Imaginators was just to create your own Skylander, but since they introduced this, they wanted to make this experience so much better that you have to get everything by playing the game. It's not unlocked by the get-go, no, you have to get everything on your own. Every sensei has 2 unique pieces, each of the different elements creation crystal has a different set to them, meaning if you want to get everything in Imaginators, absolutely every little piece in Imaginators, you're gonna need 1 of each sensei, 1 of each creation crystal per element, both expansion packs, all 3 of the racing trophies that were from Superchargers, both platinum chests that were released with Robo and Wildstorm. That is asking way too much just for this game. I know when I bought everything, it was expensive as hell, and this game is not worth that price.